This is peak Overwatch.
Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, what you've all been waiting for.
And now it's go time.
Here we go.
Bloody hands, my eyes wide, I got one chance. No sleep till I'm enhanced. Fight hard to keep my stance. Knuckle up, time to buckle up. I got one shot and I won't stop. One goal for the joyride. I'm a champion. Move aside.
Oh, okay. Are you kidding me? Taking over the game. What am I watching? They might just be doing it.
He's a god. He's a god.
Yeah.
Oh!
Full force, I'm unleashed, so don't speak. Grandmaster, don't sleep. Victory, it tastes so sweet. Knuckle up, time to buckle up. I got one shot and I won't stop. One goal for the joyride. I'm a champion. Move aside. Let's go.
Another day of the Overwatch League. I am Achilles. We're doing something a little bit different here today to kick off the new Overwatch League career here of Miss Vicky. Kitty, welcome to the broadcast. How does it feel to, finally be diving into your first day?
I'm really excited to start off with APAC for today, and also really excited to be casting with Jaws. I know that this is going to be our debut series, and overall, honestly, Achilles, I'm so excited. I mean, to be here casting Overwatch League 2021 season in my socks, what other dream could I potentially ever have in my life?
And you're doing it in your pajamas, like everybody else does. You can't see below the desk right now, so... I could be wearing jeans. I could be wearing my pajamas. You never really know. But Jaws,
you're wearing your pajamas, bro. Like, there's no way you're not wearing your pajamas. Let's be real with ourselves here.
Well, Jaws, how's it feel to be back for another year of the Overwatch League?
Feels pretty good. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Little bit of a different setup this year, of course. I mean, look at this beautiful, lovely desk that I'm going to attempt to put my hands on, but completely miss. Looks pretty good. I'm pretty excited. 3-person desk for APAC as well. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So we'll be guiding you guys through the action. I mean, starting things off, this is going to be a very exciting series for you guys to, make your little duo debut, given that we have Chengdu getting ready to go up against the NYXL. Because, Chengdu coming off of a huge 3-0 victory over the Shanghai Dragons. Real quick, though, shout out down there, the lower third. Make sure you guys go over to overwatchleague.com/team shops and get your favorite team's gear. I'm hearing that the Chengdu stock is very much on the rise, so maybe you want to be repping them. Maybe they're going to be your favorite team throughout the season. But yeah, this is going to be potentially just completely, utterly chaotic first series.
1,000%. I mean, it's Chengdu, right? You don't expect anything different. But my favorite thing about Chengdu this season is that they're not here to mess around, Seth. I mean, last couple of years, you'd say, Among ball specialist, when no one really else was playing Wrecking Ball, he was there pioneering it, trying to make it a thing. But now, a little bit more so. I mean, you're seeing a lot more Wrecking Ball in these kind of dive compositions, but we've seen someone else kind of step into his shoes in Gaga. And are we ever going to see Among again? Honestly, Vicky, I don't think we will.
Yeah, I don't know. Seeing how Gaga's been doing after week 1, according to the Watson's overall power rankings, Gaga taking that #2 player spot right behind Jinmu, who's actually standing at #1. So, Gaga putting in a lot of that work that I'm anticipating is seeing for the rest of the day.
Oh, 100%.
It's been a fantastic debut.
It's pretty scary.
Absolutely. I mean, especially taking down Shanghai. I mean, granted, that that's kind of a little bit of history repeating itself, because if you take a look back to last season, they were able to put up a very similar result versus Shanghai, right around the same point in the season. So maybe it's history repeating itself, but I think that this is just an actual super legit-looking Chengdu Hunters. They look overhauled in every single facet right now. So definitely a scary team that everybody else really has to respect here in the APAC region.
Yeah, I mean, look at the starters. Of course, we saw these last week, of course, take down the Dragons. And funnily enough about that series, that was history repeating itself from last year. 3-0 against the Shanghai Dragons, the first time they faced in 2020. Of course, this is a different lineup completely, like we spoke about already, Gaga. But you also have Jinmu, you have Leave, and you have Monk, who's been a nice little surprise as well on the Ana.
Yeah, honestly, when you take a look at the Hunters and how they've done compared to last week, I mean, 3-0ing the Shanghai Dragons and then giving that one map over to the LA Valiant. I'm going to say right here, we were joking around about it earlier, but the Hunters have chosen violence since 2019, and they're continuing on with their rampage now, going off against the Excelsior.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if they can continue forward because, you know, on the other side, it is a team that is still some familiar faces, but very much has undergone a lot of changes themselves. It's the NYXL.
Yeah, I mean, you still have jacked Jonak, of course, in the support role. Friday's joining him as a kind of this rookie, and then you've got players that have been around before. Of course, you know Yukpung, or at least you should know him for his time on the Toronto Defiant. You have Feather and Flora too. I'm most excited, honestly, about Flora. Brand new to the league, just turned 18 as of December. Was part of O2 Blast with people like Pelican and and he was also on WGS. These teams in Korean contenders, they're basically feeder teams coming into the league this year and last year, man. Like, Flora, in my mind, is gonna pop off.
I'll have to see if he's going to be able to get it done because, I mean, he's got really tough opponents in Leave and Jinmu. You know, need to get Jinmu out of the sky. Need to just control Leave because this guy is all over the place. I know that, you know, Avril was very much bigging him up, saying he's one of the, you know, the silent carries in the league and has been for quite some time. Taking a look at our map set, things are going to be kicking off on Nepal for Control. So without further ado, I will make my departure. Vicky, Jaws, have a wonderful cast, and I will be back for the breakdown here at the end of the series. Words.
Goodbye. All right, see you later. Yeah, see you, mate.
All right, goodbye, like next year.
See you next year, pal.
Anyways, going into Nepal though, Jaws, things are kicking up. We're getting started, and I'm really excited to see what these two teams are going to do, especially looking at the New York Excelsior, and you know, this is their debut match for the season overall. What are you anticipating now as we do start off on Nepal? Hunters, they're coming up with some of that momentum already into the series after their performance last weekend. Oh yeah.
I mean, you're riding high right this week if you're the Hunters, and if you're the Hunters a fan as well. You beat the Shanghai Dragons 3-0, NYXL fielding a fair few rookies and players that have been in the league before but haven't found too much success, so it's feeling pretty good. Plus you're on a lot of comfort picks as well. Jinmu on the Fari, of Leave on the Somber as well. I mean, you can see they're trying to chunk them down at this point. Flora's having a little bit of a tough time, but as soon as this point unlocks, and which it has done just now, NYXL are going to have the edge in kind of sitting on this comp. It's now up to Jinmu and Leave to try and find a hack, and then Jinmu just bursting people down.
Oh yeah, Jinmu, of course, one of the best.
He's already got Barrage,
out for. Yeah, already has Barrage. Being able to attack on so much of that damage, and being able to also have Nisha to help out with those pocket heals as well as that damage boost now making their way over. The Ant Matrix alive going forward, and yeah, and especially with the wall too, trying to cut off the attempt from the Chengdu Hunters to come right back into the rocket barrage coming alive. He gets immediately shut down. I love the reaction that we had right there from Bianca. Flora now with the Deadeye, and wow, Jaws already with a strong start. New York Excelsior, they're trying to shut down the Chengdu Hunters.
Okay, Jinmu uses the Cushion Blast to get on top of the NYXL and then just unleash the Barrage. You're doing it into a Rhine Shield. You could potentially be doing it into a May Wall and a Defense Matrix. There is no way you're getting that off. 50% now, and this is really going to be their first fight. However, Friday already getting taken out, and that's a big EMP.
Yep, fighting for right here, and it's going to be a cleanup, and this is going to allow the Hunters to make their way over to the point right now, cleaning things up. Jinmu also just tacking on so much of that pressure. They're really going to have to focus down on Jinmu, who's been an absolute threat from the very beginning. Gaga's going to clean things up, and I'm going to be looking at Flora to be able to take care of Jinmu in that regards. But now that they've been able to take this point, Excelsiors, they were able to take it at least a 69%, so that's a little bit of a lead that, you know, they could ease their way over to.
Pretty nice. A lot of ults as well available, and you really do have to stop the rotations from NYXL here if you're the Chengdu Hunters. You have to stop them from getting the point, and, well, they do just that. That's Jonak. Double direct body shot from Jinmu. And they're going to have to go all the way back to spawn. Otherwise, Jinmu could basically spawn camp him. Yeah, you can see the Diva flying over. Bianca wants to make sure he can protect him. Even the Lucio, too, to speed him up. And you can see Leave just kind of darting around. They shouldn't be able to take him out. Jonak is still fairly chunky, although can't heal himself with a right click. Still has that shift as the hack does wear off. And Jonak going low again. Oh, Jinmu doesn't quite find the kill, but that's bought a lot of time. And Leave 40% towards the EMP. I'm still looking for those mines from Gaga to try and intercept them from going to the point. There it is. But the self-destruct comes out on top of the NYXL.
Yeah, they were able to get into some cover right here, and the Blizzard coming alive. Excel right now going forward, as well as the fact that they're holding on to a lot of those ultimates. They didn't have to burn too much other than that sound barrier. That Blizzard, big anti right there. Yapon, he's down. It's so is the Rocket Barrage to follow through with that huge ante that we just saw coming in from the Hunters. Wow, what a way to retake this point. It's going to be a cleanup right here, Jaws, and Hunters, despite it going back and forth, New York, they're looking fantastic on trying to contest them, but Jinmu, what a great follow-up from Monk.
Wow, what an unbelievable nade from Monk as well. Friday used that beat really early as well, so they couldn't use that to stop all that damage coming through from the barrage. That was an unbelievable combo, and now you're looking at 65%, almost final fight, and especially if they EMP early here, Vicky, it will be just that. Feather used the Blizzard as well, although not too useful against the comp that the Chengdu Hunters are running. A big EMP comes out, though.
His shutdown floor. He gets into, he's gonna back off real quick, but Yakung's taking a quick nap on the side over here. They had a lot of those ultimates in the economy, but they actually just burned through it, and being able to find them over to the side, they do find Jinmu back into this fight at least, but New York, they're gonna make their way over, but at the same time, Hunters, they didn't lose too many other than Gaga. Will be able to roll right back onto the point, and it's ticking away. They're gonna have to contest right here. Great wall to buy in some of that time, but the shatter from Yakung could make it or break it. Only finds also off to the side, deals a lot of that damage, although also does get out in time, does have that Diva mech to reset real quick, utilizing the ultimate. He's stuck around the wall. Wow, what a wall! Actually helped out Flo right there, but Jonak unfortunately isn't as lucky right here, and the number advantage going in favor of Hunters. Elsa, Gaga, absolutely unstoppable forces, not only creating some of that space for the minefield, but they clear out all of New York.
This is chaos, and what more could you really expect from the Chengdu Hunters? They've now got the point. Elsa, unfortunately, doesn't have mech, but the mines are eventually going to fade away, meaning Friday can touch. He needs to be able to survive, though, and get this beat off, as well as Feather getting back to the point with the Blizzard to stop everybody kind of collapsing on them. Monk has got the Nano available, but Leave approaching this EMP. A lot of key ultimates being available very, very shortly. Feather eventually getting that Blizzard online and shoving it out onto the point, but still in control of the Chengdu Hunters.
Deadeye now coming in, does find Yakung off to the side. Not only did they hack him, but he also gets put to sleep immediately. Jonak's out of the fight, and Friday's gonna fall down with him. That means no sustainability left for New York, and Hunters pushing this over to overtime. They're staking onto the point, and they do manage to secure that first round of the first map of the series.
Oh my god. Friday needed to stay alive at the very end to get that beat off, but it was really on the Feather to try and stop the Chengdu Hunters dive bombing them on the point using that Blizzard, but the Hunters were able to just slowly touch, just navigate their way around the Blizzard. I think this is going to be the barrage after the anti-nade. Oh boy, that nano barrage does so much damage. Yopung's shields almost instantly got deleted there. I mean, who better than Jinmu really on this Pharah? And that's an extremely hard point to cap as well. If you are that Pharah team, like I mentioned before, you are sitting there just poking and prodding away, hoping you can find someone with those damage boosted rockets. But it really was the barrage there, the nano barrage that did seal the deal. Same kind of compositions from the Hunters and NYXL. Very clear what the NYXL really want to run, even if Jinmu is high in the sky, there's no damage boost. However, there's a small change. In fact, Jonak running the Moira, I don't really like this at all. I mean, you provide a little bit of extra pressure when you are playing the Bat and killing off a Pharah. And of course, the Immortality Field does so much work, and the Amp Matrix 2 just aiding the kill on the Pharah and the Mercy combo. Gaga's going to be able to jump on with the ball, and he's not going to get punished either, mind you. The Moira does almost negative damage. At least Jonak on the Batiste can do a lot more to a ball diving in.
At least maybe having some of that momentum and mobility to try to maneuver themselves around the point too. But New York, they're looking fantastic for this initial push right here. They do manage to take the point first, but it's very similar to compared to what we had seen in that first round. Hunters, they were able to regather themselves, get right back into the point, trying to put in some of the extra pressure, and Feather trying to build up into that EMP as well. You can see them doing some of the extra poke damage, and Flora already with the Deadeye to control some of that space.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Feather, of course, using the Sombra character as well. Sombra's a fun hero, especially when you get hacked. It's very fun. Very fun. Can't do anything. You're just AFK for a few minutes. Jonak's going to have to be fairly wary. He's got one of the most powerful abilities in the game, in the Fade, of course. 6-second cooldown, just blinking out of existence and then re-blinking somewhere else. Pretty nice when you're escaping Pharahs. Speaking of Pharahs, that's a big barrage, but Bianca takes him out.
Yeah, Bianca was at the ready for Jinmu. Just managed to take out Jinmu before the damage has been done, and now with the Coalescence, they're going to be able to tack on not only some of the extra pressure, but they're also going to wipe out Gaga and prevent Hunters from making their way over to the point. They may want to go for a reset. At least they do have some of those ultimates coming alive, though, for this next initial push. You see Floor still holding on to that Deadeye, but Friday does have that sound barrier to help protect the rest of NYXL if they do find themselves in a kind of stuck situation. But my eyes right now, Jaws, are on Leaf, who's building into that EMP, and Friday wanting to get out of that vision of where the EMP would hit, so that way Friday could protect the rest of NYXL with that sound barrier.
Wow, Leave ends up going down to Yukpang of all people. I mean, Flora is still on the point as well. I don't think it matters really if Feather and Flora end up dying here out of hell. However, I say that, a Nano Fara right on top of your head gives him an old punch, knocks him completely out. And yeah, Jonak falls as well. However, like, it doesn't really matter at this point, especially if you're the NYXL. You have 85%. That's one and a bit fights if you manage to recap, of course. Leave expending the EMP here. And now this is kind of how Control works, right? It's all about the ultimates and just rotating them well. And if you do end up capping point first, more often than not, yeah, you're going to have ults online as well, because you've killed off the enemy team, gaining yourself a whole bunch of ult charge. And that is a solar EMP on the ball. All right, okay, Gaga's dead, and I guess they try and push now.
They really wanted to make sure Gaga isn't going to be a problem. I mean, those minefields are there, but, you know, Gaga's going to get back onto that point rather quickly. And at the same time, I mean, NYXL, they have 90% already on board here. Now, Friday's gone, though, and that's 2 members down for the NYXL. Jinmu came in from the flank, caught them sleeping. Despite Monk falling through, the number advantage still goes in favor of Hunters, and they're trying to push so that way they can be able to hold on to this advantage. NYXL, now the Shatter coming alive, not going to find anyone instead here. The Hunters are still winning and trading numbers, and Yakpung, he's going to be going down and meeting the rest of NYXL in that spawn before they regroup.
Oh man, the solo EMP from Feather, not quite sure about that. A manual hack, of course, would have just worked, would have sufficed. I guess it's a little bit quicker to hit the Q button, but ideally...
Make a statement. It's about making a statement.
I mean, definitely. Ideally, you want to catch the Pharah. Not normally possible, as she's so high up in the sky, but at least catching one other person would have been great. Leave approaching his EMP now, and if they do use it early, like I've said before, which is what you normally want to do against these kind of comps, which he just does, Flora gets hacked, there's the EMP, 6 people, and yeah, Monk, Gaga, they're going to be able to clean up the rest.
You're not allowed to have fun out here. Flora, that was the second time that Flora had gotten EMP'd in the middle of using that Deadeye. And Jinmu, you could erase to the positioning, getting ready. They're still able to try to match with the NYXL despite actually being down in the disadvantage for this second round. Overall, though, you can see Leaf building into that next EMP, although still also trying to attack on some of the extra pressure on the backlines, distract NYXL, but they're going to be able to move right in, push it over into overtime. The Coalescence finding Monk, that's going to be a big deal here. The Valkyrie's not online, and Gaga now with those minefields to create some of that space on the point. They're going to have to respect that Diva Bomb coming in live from Elsa, and goodbye Jonak with that follow from Gaga. I love the way that Hunters are playing so close together, being able to utilize not only some of that synergy that they're building into, but also a lot of those good comms going in. Now another EMP coming alive, but it's just a matter of holding it onto overtime right now, Jaws. And Hunters, they still have that number advantage, and Jinmu is managing to keep everybody out. Chengdu Hunters, they take the first map.
God, NYXL there at the end had to look 17 different ways to try and deal with what the Chengdu Hunters were throwing at him. The very, very key moment there at the very end was actually the hack onto Jonak. He couldn't end up fading away from the rest of the team that were diving him, and he ended up just dying to the Wrecking Ball. Not really want to be where you want to be as a Moira player, right on top of the Wrecking Ball with no fade. Him going down there is crucial, because you don't have the main healer then in the Lucio, and then Jinmu can just do whatever he pleases as well. He has less fear of a Coalescence hitting him when he's in that barrage. That was an extremely, extremely close map. It could have gone either way. If Jonak didn't get hacked there, it could have flipped around. But the Chengdu Hunters coming out again and making a statement. They want to play their own game, and they're going to make sure the NYXL are going to follow by their rules.
Talk about playing their own game. I mean, where's the script here, Jaws? I mean, I'm gonna hit up Zoe and Mr. X and figure out what's going on here, because Chengdu Hunters, they're on a roll. That momentum is there, and I'm really excited to see how the rest of the series goes, especially with how back and forth each of those rounds seem to be, despite it being a 2-0.
Yeah, we're going to jump to a quick break, guys. Do not go anywhere. We got map number 2 coming up soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home or renter's insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
And we're back with Chengdu Hunters taking map number 1 so far in the series. It's first to 3 here, Jaws, and so far the Hunters are looking fantastic, carrying on a lot of that momentum that we were talking about earlier from last weekend into this weekend to start things off for the APAC region.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good. Like I said just before the break there, they make you play by their rules. Jinmu's going to play the Pharah. You know Lever's going to play that Sombra. And they're just so good at executing it as well. I mean, you're looking at Village and you're saying, well, I mean, Rush, pretty good on that map. You can hide Lamp around the small corners, especially when you've capped the point. You have May to block off one of the entrances. But it's all these small plays that just make it all worthwhile. I mean, we saw Monk lobbing a massive 4-man ante on the front line of the NYXL, followed up with a nano barrage. There was nothing left of Yukpung's shield, and there's not really much you can do after that. Jinmu is ruling the skies, and he's ruling the ground. He's just ruling the whole game right now. And you can see why people are excited about this Chengdu Hunters squad. I mean, Gaga as well on the Wrecking Ball. His dive is like a synchronized dive with Leave just picking people off that have been hacked in the backline is perfect. I mentioned before that one of the critical things at the very end of that map was actually Jonak getting hacked as he was on the Moira. Can't fade away, he dies, and then you've only got Lucio heals to try and stem the bleeding from the Pharah damage, Leave jumping on you, Gaga jumping on you, you know. They just know how to play this composition to a T, and this is why Chengdu Hunters, honestly, they're not even a dark horse. They're just going to be one of the best teams in the region by far. The expectations, I think, were, I wouldn't say super high. I think looking at who they picked up, you might say that. But if you looked at over the past couple of years, especially before all these new roster additions came in, it was like, okay, they're going to play their wacky style again, and it's going to be really fun to watch. And you can tell how much fan attention they've gotten over the last couple of years. And this year, they want to make it theirs.
Yeah, I mean, I take a look at this version of Chengdu Hunters, and overall, you know, they're playing pretty conventionally with a pretty balanced roster, and they're trying to work into what works best for them. And so far, between enabling Jinmu, I'm really excited to see how they're actually going to be able to split a lot of that attention. But going on to our next map here, Josh, what are you anticipating to see a change up from the NYXL? What do you want them to do differently? Because, you know, we saw Jonak on the Moira, that didn't work out very well. You were a sitting duck, while Leaf, he was having a ball, just making sure that you can't go anywhere. But now Chengdu Hunters, they've taken that first map, and it's up to the NYXL to make some of those adjustments so that way they don't fall victim to what happened in that first map. Yeah,
I don't like the Moira in those compositions at all. The map just offers so much more, but now it looks like Jonak's actually swapping onto the Ana instead. And we got Friday on the, so it's kind of a classic, almost, I was going to say double bubble, but of course we don't have the Zarya. We've just got kind of dive tanks and, well, Ivy's head on a stick as Leave just takes his head off. All right, well, at least Friday's there with the res. Very nice. He's going to be able to pocket Ivy in the sky. When Echo got released, I was like, wow, man, this is just better Pharah. And this is what I wanted to see from the NYXL. Them actually just coming out the gate and trying to match Jinmu in the skies with something in their own. Monk takes out Yukpung as he does dive onto the high ground, but Jinmu, especially playing around this clock tower, Vicky, it's going to be very hard for Ivy to even get a lick of damage in.
Yeah, I mean, I like the attempt from Yakpeng, but he immediately got melted, got taken out from his attempt on just diving around to Hunters, although they do go in for a different position here. And my eyes right now are on Ivy, getting a lot of that sustainability from Friday at the same time. Meanwhile, having to match that with Jinmu and Nisha, you can see already with the way that they're trying to position themselves and the way that Jinmu and Nisha have been able to tack on a lot of that pressure, they need to be contested here, or else they're going to keep running away with a lot of that pressure that they were able to put onto the NYXL in that first map.
The problem with this comp as well, I will say, Vicky, is that Leaf can basically just sit at the back here and play like Kovacs, right? Like, what are you going to do with the Widowmaker? He has to jump at you and try and kill you. The Orisa is going to go golden as the Nano comes out.
And you can see Yakpeng now trying to make sure he can clear some space for the rest of NYXL to make their way in. As they do find Elsa, you still have to keep your eyes over to Nisha, who does get that res. That does burn out the res, but at the same time, that means that Shield is back in the fray, and that is going to allow the rest of Hunters to be able to clean things up. Now Jonak has fallen, and so is Ivy. That's going to be both supports out for the NYXL with no sustainability left, though, and Jinmu holding on to the Rocket Barrage. I'm a little worried here for NYXL's. NYXL's next attempt to try to push on through this choke point, because right now, Jaws, it's looking grim. You can take a look at the ult economy from the Hunters, and I am just absolutely terrified.
Dude, this is what I'm saying. Leave just sits here. He knows he doesn't have to move at all because Jinmu, Gaga, and even Monk are playing distraction. They need to be able to get onto Leave to make him make sure he can't just pressure out Ivy by just literally existing. Existing on a Widowmaker is sometimes the best thing you can do because it stops Ivy playing aggressive angles. You can see here they're trying to go for a flank, trying to take out Jinmu in the skies.
Oh yeah, George managing to prioritize Jinmu, but he's unstoppable. He does manage to not only demech Bianca, but clean up Bianca too. Leave is gonna follow up, and Jinmu is unstoppable, looking exactly as strong as he was within last weekend. It's a team wipe. At least NYXL, they're coming in with some ultimates of their own after Hunters. They just burned through their entire arsenal, but they're still managing to buy in so much of NYXL's time with less than a minute left on board.
Yeah, I don't know about using 5 ultimates in that fight at all, to be honest with you. You probably could have saved the Supercharger, or at least maybe the Nano. Of course, the Nano Barrage. It's basically the only thing affected. Well, Friday's dead. That's not good. That's another like 20 seconds before they can set up. Self-destruct's going over the top, though.
Wow, and he finds Bianca before he gets back into the mech. Jinmu, somebody stop him. He's quite literally unstoppable. I mean, Ivy was trying their best to make sure that Jinmu would at least feel threatened in the air, but this isn't an aerial battle right now at this point. This is a one-man squad with Jinmu enabling the rest of Hunters to just keep holding on to this defense, and they're doing so successfully right now. Just less than 15 seconds on board for the NYXL to take that first point.
Oh no, Flora! Someone say Flora right now. Oh, he's dancing around the health pack. He's trying to get away, but I don't think he can. He has nowhere to go. The sleep's going to land, and now he is dead. Flora and Jonak are already down. Friday managed to resurrect on Jonak, but Leave is still clicking heads.
Oh, right now, Hunters, it's going to be a cleanup. I mean, right now, NYXL, they're trying to delay the inevitable. At least their spawn is right there, and they are going to be able to try to talk on some of this extra pressure. Leave is displaced, and he's getting focused down by Yakpeng, and Jonak is in the back. He is able to enable the rest of NYXL, but they've lost both of their supports. Jonak falls through, so does Friday, and that leaves no sustainability for the rest of the NYXL, whereas the rest of Hunters, they're still able to try and attack on so much of that pressure. Gaga falls through. He took a lot of damage, but when you have Elsa right there in the front lines with that shield, it's so difficult to try to find that perfect positioning to contest a player like Jinmu, and Leave now had him swapped over to the Doom so that way he could get back as quick as possible, but Jaws, they fully held back the NYXL.
Dude, we left that second to last fight saying, wait, they used 5 ults? Not good. NYXL now have 4 to 5 on the board, should be pretty good, and you're thinking in your head, like, if you're playing the game, right? You're like 5 ults versus basically none. Well, we win, right? That makes sense. That's maths, but not at all. I mean, Flora got caught on the sides. I think I don't know where he put his translocator first. He like hacked the health pack, put it down, and I think that was the telltale sign for Gaga and Jinmu and just, I believe, Monk as well to kind of go in and pressure him out. And then he was caught in no man's land. He was caught on the other side of the map, like in enemy territory, where he couldn't escape. He ended up getting taken out, and then Jinmu again can kind of fly a little bit more free because he's not really scared of that EMP, even the potential of the EMP coming out, knocking him out of the sky, or even just a manual hack as well to try and ground him. That was such a painful experience for Flora, and him going down at the very end there too, 5v6, and then Jinmu's free, and like I said before, Leave is even more free than he's ever been. And not to mention, Leave dancing around Yukpeng for like a good 20 seconds. He just wasn't going down, and Yukpeng's attention was not on the front line. He was trying to kill the Widow, and he couldn't even do that.
Yeah, the being able to spread NYXL so thin just because of that pressure. It's all about getting into your opponent's head, and that's exactly what we had seen just based off of the positioning from the Hunters. You can already see as they do get set up in position, it's going to be tough here, especially with the NYXL now having to fully hold. They have to fully hold the Hunters, or, you know, it's going to be a grim situation. You find yourself going over to that third map with not even being able to find some sort of momentum in the second map before going right over here. Leave already getting it set up into that position, trying to find a quick pick. And at the same time right here, here comes Jinmu, the terror that has been coming forward from the skies with this barrages of rockets overall now, and getting pocketed by Nisha. It's so difficult overall, Jaws, to be able to deal with Jinmu. I mean, they have Flora now on the Ashe, and to split some of that attention on the ground is Ivy to actually put on some pressure on the backlines, but they're already pushing over this payload. They get a contest here. They can't let them move it over for free. Unfortunately, this is a buy one, get two for free right now, and Yakpong is down through, and they're wasting some time forward, and with Hunters slowly making their way and easing in, Jaws. And YXL now are down 2 members. Now finding Gaga, but is it going to be enough? I mean, the Hunter spawn is right there.
It is right there. Elsa's been naded too, so they can chase him down. Problem is with Flora right now, okay, at least they catch Monk. That should hopefully make them back off. Jinmu ends up going down as Nisha was resurrecting Monk, so again, they're going to have to play a little bit more safe. That Bob's going to help stem the bleeding just a little bit, but Flora's not being pocketed. He gets taken out by Gaga.
And that was the biggest threat too for Jinmu, and you know, being able to pinpoint Flora. Gaga is now back sent to the spawn, and I love the way that NYXL just played this right here, actually playing around the Bob, who managed to close out Gaga's life, and now Jinmu getting right back into the fray, slowly building up on that rocket barrage. That is actually what I'm scared for, because you already see Monk building into that nano boost, and it really trickles down. Yeah, it really trickles down to how they're going to be able to try to close this out, because the payload is right there, and the rest of Hunters, they're making their way over to the front lines.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way you don't nano barrage right now. I mean, he's trying to poke out Jonak just enough. That's a big Bionade in the front line too. Yukpeng and Bianca are going to have to play a little bit more safe. I'll be very, very scared at the moment as well, as Leave has popped those sights. Mines come out on the point. A sleeping Ivy goes down on Flora, and I think this might just be it.
Oh, Jinmu now pulls up the rocket barrage. I don't think there's going to be anybody else left on the point to contest, especially now closing things up, and Jinmu following in. Hunters now with a speed run. I mean, Jaws, when we were going to do our debut series, I was not expecting it to be a speed run right now. Hunters putting on such a dominating performance already over the NYXL.
That's unbelievable speedrun time, man. Like, that is crazy. You're managing to hold them, like, not even near the first point, really. It's just under the little bridge, and then some, like a meter, a couple of meters, you know? Like, that is ridiculous. And this is not only off the back of who we were hyping up before, right, in Leave, Jinmu, Gaga. Monk is just being such a standout honor player too, just staying alive for as long as possible. He landed a really sick sleep on Yukpeng as well, as he finally dealt with Leave on their defense, and was then jumping straight back into help the rest of the team. He slept him. He was out of action for, again, another 15 seconds or so. These brand new additions to the Hunters just really rounding out the entire roster. They're looking good, man. I had a lot of faith in NYXL. Maybe give them a couple of weeks, you know, brand new to the league, some of the players. But right now, the Hunters looking like a 3-0. I can't really think of a way NYXL come back now.
Yeah, I want to see some of those adjustments because I don't want it to be a 3-0. At the same time, Hunters are looking so strong. But at the same time, I was looking at the NYXL and I had no idea what to expect. Now, though, the Hunters are up 2-0. Let's see what the NYXL could do to at least try to reverse this, put themselves back on board, or are the Hunters going to find themselves with a 3-0 and a quick handshake, make it over to the next opponent, you know, going forward tomorrow? We'll find out, though, what the NYXL does after this short break. Don't go anywhere.
Justice reigns from above. Apagando las luces.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back. Chengdu Hunters now up 2-0 against the NYXL. Jaws, I know you were talking about some of your predictions, but I mean, the way that the Hunters are playing right now, I just quite don't know what to expect from the NYXL at this point.
Yeah, it seems hard to kind of come back from this when you've been first held on Dorado, and yeah, not much you can do even if you have 5 ults, and the Chengdu Hunters have 0. They seem to outplay you every single time. I mean, a lot of that stems from just Jinmu getting extremely early picks on the Pharah as he's damage boosted. I like the small adaptations they tried to make. They put an Ashe on the field. This is NYXL I'm talking about. They put an Ashe on the field, but you can't really get the damage done. I mean, at the end of the day, you've still got so much roof work that you can walk around or fly around if you're Jinmu to kind of regain the health you're getting chunked out from. You need that damage boost. You absolutely need that damage boost on the Ashe to do any meaningful damage from the Pharah, because she's also playing like extraordinarily far away, but then it kind of disrupts the comp and you want to play other supports. It's a very, very, very tough situation if you're the NYXL, if you've just got an just godlike Pharah player in Jinmu. We are going on to Temple of Anubis, I believe, as well. And Vicky, I'm going to be real, like, they're not going to change anything, man. Like, there's absolutely no way. The NYXL, and like you said, my Preds, I predicted a 3-1. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Probably not, though.
I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it, you know?
Exactly.
Looking at the way that the Hunters are playing right now, again, like, this synergy that is being built up and the follow-ups that I'm seeing currently are insane. You know, when I saw Jonah going on the Ana, I was actually anticipating a sleep dart, at least being able to shut down Jinmu going in from the flank. We didn't really get to see an opportunity for that to present itself. So now going on to map number 3, I'm not too sure if the NYXL has had enough time, especially after how quickly that second map went, to adjust around the momentum that already has been built up by the Hunters.
Yeah, they can adjust fairly well on Anubis, however. I will say that is the caveat, and it's just the map itself. And if you think of Anubis, it's basically one straight line to the point. Of course, it does zigzag, yes. But if you think of it as a Pharah, it's basically one straight line to the point. There are very, very few hiding spots you can go as a Pharah to try and dodge out the way if you're on offense. if you're on the defense, you can easily run a Widowmaker. You can run a McCree, you can run an Ashe, of course. So it would make a whole lot of sense just to run that to make sure Jinmu can't use the Pharah. Of course, though, we are seeing a small swap up here from the Hunters. We are seeing Jimmy come in instead of Jinmu, so we're not going to be seeing the Pharah there at all. They've got every trick up their sleeve ready to go. They're like a well-oiled machine that looks like a panda, and there's no changes from the NYXL. I can't imagine we're going to see anybody rotated in. I'm excited to see how Flora and Ivy are going to play this, because now they're not experiencing the threat, the ominous orb presence that is Jinmu in the sky, that is basically immortal with Monk and Nisha at his back. Anubis is a tricky one though, of course, attacking second point. But, Vicky, come on. Let's be real. The Hunters, they're looking strong. The NYXL, maybe they need a couple more weeks to kind of get in the groove of things, but you're looking at one of the best teams in APAC right here.
Yeah, you know, and which is very natural too, especially trying to feel out what a lot of these teams are mostly strong with. And as we do enter Anubis, I got my eyes over at the Hunters. I mean, if you had any trouble getting out of bed so early in the morning, well, knock, knock on your doors. The Hunters have presented you with your morning coffee. And I mean, right now, the way that they've started things up, I'm definitely awake right now, Jaws. And as we do start things up, hopefully, you know, you made a mention of it. You were anticipating perhaps a 3-1, as you know, at the very least. And right now, the Hunters, they're trying to just speedrun their way over to just closing this out. Kind of sit back, relax after what they were able to do to the Shanghai Dragons last weekend. They're trying to make sure they keep that up as a habit after, unfortunately, losing that record that they could potentially have caught with the LA Valiant, you know, actually winning that 3-1. They still dropped the map, and here we have NYXL, though. Could they potentially be the next victims of the Chengdu Hunters 3-0 curse? I mean, let's find out, because right now, you see the NYXL, they're getting set up on the defense, Jaws, and the Hunters, again, they're building into some of that momentum, but they do have some of those swap-ups that could catch the NYXL off guard.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the Chengdu zone right here. I mean, Jimmy coming in too, probably running the Sombra, and this is what the Chengdu Hunters kind of made their name as well, this kind of chaos comps with the Wrecking Ball, and this double bubble style of composition as well kind of aids that, because it is a little bit of chaos some of the time, you know? You're spectating this, there's like 3 different fights happening at once. Jimmy's trying to hack somebody, and then the rest of the team are trying to jump on them, right? I mean, that's the ideal situation. How does he get that hack? I don't know, but Yukpeng is dead already. So, nice start for the Hunters. And now NYXL have to run for the hills.
The follow-up, the pristine follow, I mean, Yukpeng, he thought he had the position. He was able to try to go around the corner, try to save himself, and now you have the rest of the NYXL. They're falling through. Despite Flora finding those picks, I mean, they're going to be able to press their advantage. This first point, it's going to be going over to the Hunters right now, Jaws. Excelsior, they're going to have to reset, go back to that second point, and figure something out. Go back to the drawing board, because right now, the Hunters, they quite literally want a record over the NYXL.
Oh, they do. 6 minutes on the time bank attack in second. That feels pretty good. Second point Anubis, though, and it being 2CP as well. A little bit difficult to finish of all maps. The spawn point is very, very close. Jimmy trying to get the hack, and he does, actually, off Friday, and Friday's already dead.
Oh, that's going to be huge right here. That just leaves Jonak for the sustainability. Are the rest of the Hunters going to go in? No, it's Big Anti actually hitting the back line of the Hunters, and that's actually going to be the reason why Nisha's falling through. Monk survives very briefly. I mean, we'll have the Nanobus coming in, just wants to go for a reset, because right now, NYXL, they do manage to stave the rest of Hunters off. For the meantime, right now, at least they do have that 5-minute time bank, so it's going to be a little grim if they don't manage to build it to some of those ultimates right now.
Yeah. Ideally, you just want to wait for this EMP, you go in, you copy the monkey, have double monkey, double primal rage, and double the fun. Elsa's going to be able to charge to grab at that point as well. And the problem for the NYXL currently, don't have rally. They've got nano, sure, they can save one target, but that rally is going to be the key thing to actually stop this massive engage. No ways Friday is building up to 1 right now. I mean, it's not that quick for building ultimate. Dynamite's going to go in as they make their engage.
Especially hacking that health pack on the bottom right there too is going to control some of that space. Duplicate coming alive. Monk gets anti though, and he takes on a lot of that damage. He falls through. before actually utilizing the nano boost. Now Yakpeng, though, is going to be able to extend some of that aggression, and the rest of NYXL, they're burning through some of these ultimates right here. Nearly all of them right now, Jaws, and they are going to be able to clean the point around Hunters, but I like the way that Hunters actually waited, especially since they only utilize a duplicate. They're going to be able to go right back in with 5 ultimates of their own.
Yeah, I talked about how difficult Anubis is to finish, and Jack to Jonak. Jonak lands another clutch anti-nade, only hitting one target, but the best target you can hit in a Monk. It was a very easy follow-up there from the Winston, and the rest is history. You saw Nisha actually just jumping onto the point. That's a big EMP, though. I'm going to cut myself off.
Ooh, yeah, Vining 4, and that's going to be the cause of death for Floor right here, and that's going to be an aggressive push coming in from the Hunters. Now utilizing those ultimates that we made note of. Jimmy falls through, though. Ivy has been a big threat, and the grab coming alive. Now being able to try to close things up, though. I like the positioning that we're seeing from Ivy, who has, once again, been a pretty big threat, but Yakpon is falling through, and Bianca's taking a lot of that damage. Does have that Diva Bomb to reset real quick, control some of that space, but the rest of the Hunters, they're on phase right now, Jaws, and you can already see the way that they're playing so close together. They want to make sure that Friday isn't a threat with this rally. They're cleaning up the point, but nobody left for the NYXL to do anything. The ball swap coming in from Yakpon, but he immediately gets deleted, and the way that Leaf now utilizes the duplicate right here, I mean, Jaws, the Hunters, they're feeling themselves, but can they clear up the point in time before the rest of NYXL manage to regroup and find those picks? They've already lost Gaga right now, but the number advantage still goes in favor to the Hunters. Despite just losing Gaga, Elsa taking a lot of that damage, does have that grab, and now the duplicate to go in. Right here, you see Ivy taking a lot of that damage, but with that grab that he was able to build up twice, that point goes in favor of Hunters with that 2-minute and 48-second time bank.
Oh man, it just took them over 3 minutes to cap that second point. I'm telling you, man, Anubis, pretty hard to finish. But that was a ridiculous copy from Leave. He copies straight into the Ana, hits a 2-man anti at 2 people coming out of the right-hand side spawn, and yeah, Echo, when you're duplicated, you build ult charge pretty quickly. He hits one person with a little dart, and then bada bing, bada boom, you got Nano, just puts it on the Zarya, and then Elsa just chews through everybody. And like you said, he got 2 grabs in that fight because he was getting nanoed and was at 100 energy. There's no way you're not going to get 100 energy if people are diving onto the point constantly, trying to just get as much damage as possible to try and find that one pick. And normally in Overwatch League as well, something that McGravy actually was talking about earlier on today was the fact that it's actually fairly difficult to gain Graviton's, no, the Zarya charge, sorry. I was going to say grab charge, but it kind of makes sense. It's pretty hard to gain Zarya charge a lot of the time in Overwatch League just because everybody is just so disciplined into not shooting those bubbles. But because Elsa is defending the point to try and cap it, then it's incredibly easy. And then he's nanoed and he gets a 2-man grab on the Tracer and the ball. Like it all goes just upwards from there for the NYXL. And you waiting for that rally at the very end. I said before, Friday needed that rally, but he just wasn't able to get it online at all because people just trickling on and on and on, and it was just a painful situation. And now we're seeing Jimmy on the Widow as well, and look at how much protection he's getting from Elsa too, just shooting that shield up there.
I would love to have heard what the NYXL comp sounded like, just managing to see Elsa tack on not only so much of that damage, controlling so much space, but building into both of those grabs. Now, Flora is gone, and great start already for the Hunters to push back the NYXL. They're trying to find a way to go over to the side, but they're sandwiched right here. With Leaf having a lot of that pocket support from Nisha, it's going to be really difficult to deal with that. But, you know, overall, Ivy did a really good job at suppressing the Hunters within that first round when they were on the defense. Can they keep that up, though? Because at the same time, you know, you can't do everything by yourself here. And the way that Hunters are playing, they're forcibly spreading the NYXL thin. They're forcibly making them focus down a lot of the back line, whereas you have the front line being immediately pressured by Leave and Gaga, who has just been absolutely running amok. Jimmy finds Yakpeng. He tried to literally just jump in once, and Jimmy's unstoppable, finding 2 heads. What are we playing right now, John? It's just a matter of sending the NYXL back to the spawn. It's going to be a cleanup. It's looking like hungry hippos here, except for the Hunters are the hippos, and the NYXL are unfortunately finding themselves back on the board. At the same time right here, John, the Hunters, they're holding on to this momentum and a lot of those ult charges that they're building into.
Oh, that was ridiculous set of plays there. Jimmy just clicked 2 heads and then Leave transforms into the Diva, just runs the rest of NYXL down. Super unfortunate. But Flora's going to be the key target here you want to look for. This pulse bomb is going to have to be massive. Lands on Monk, lands on Nisha, which is almost going to be impossible with Leave up in the skies, but they know exactly where he is now with those sights being activated.
Oh, look at Jimmy, he's waiting for the opportunity right here. Ivy, he's out in the open, doesn't find a hit though. At the same time, the boost coming alive. Pung, he's forced to get out of that situation, doesn't have primal reset. Bianca's demexed and put to sleep, perhaps going in for stagger, and at the same time, the Hunters, they managed to successfully keep the NYXL back at bay. And at the same time, you have them trying to rotate onto the high ground so that way they can at least get some position advantage over the Hunters. But Jaws, you have Jimmy still finding these heads. The rest comes in, forces it out on Ivy, at least has the duplicate to work with. But they notice Jimmy has been somebody to keep your eyes out for. If it wasn't Jinmu, it's Jimmy this time around.
Yeah, look at this corner. Young Monk, unfortunately, trapped in the corner, gets anti-naded. At least they trade Monk, though. Now it's actually a fantastic trade, just taking down one of the healers. But Gaga comes in once more to clean house. And one small play there that I want to mention from Gaga is he just absolutely domes the NYXL. His
like
mind, he used it super defensively. Like, he waited for the NYXL to jump in, use the mine so no one could follow up with that nano boost onto Yukpung, and they just couldn't do anything. There's now a minute remaining for the NYXL to gain a little bit of point presence. They've got no percentage, no ticks on the board, and now they are running into mines again, Nano again, Valkyrie, and the Supercharger. And they've only really got a self-destruct. Flora gonna have to build up this pulse bomb and stick Monk, otherwise it could be all over.
We're talking about the Hunters not being as much of a threat without those ultimates. Now we're dealing with the Hunters with a plethora of ultimates to work with. They are going to try to be patient, waiting for that jump to finish, not going all in. Jonak getting that nano boost, coming alive. Yakung does have that primal to reset. Flora needs to get a big pulse bomb, at least on the backline, to continuously pressure on the Hunters. They do find Jimmy, which is going to be a big deal, especially with the amount of pressure that we've been seeing coming in from Jimmy on that high ground. Although it's not enough, Jonak is gone. And Friday, that just leaves Friday for the sustainability before falling through the spawn. You currently have Leave having that duplicate to go in for a quick reset and cleaning up around the NYXL. They didn't even have a chance of even taking a single tick here, Jaws. And the NYXL, they're finding themselves meeting back into that spawn room before trickling in and delaying the inevitable.
Yeah, they're finished now. This is all but over. Nice little kill from Bianca there, but there's not really much point in you fighting any longer. Jimmy does end up going down. In fact, Flora does get Nisha also, but OT is ticking down immensely quickly. Can they actually turn this around? Maybe so.
Oh, they're still trying to trickle back in. I mean, going to sleep and getting cleaned up. Yeah, no, Yakung immediately just got deleted right there. I love the follow-up too. I mean, at the same time, Chengdu Hunters, they do take the first series that we're going to be casting today in the APAC region over the NYXL.
That was ridiculous. And what happened? Hey, he needed to hit the stick, he did, but Monk killed him before the stick even exploded. So that was something. The Chengdu Hunters just shutting out the NYXL in that series, a clean 3-0. Nothing seemingly stopping them right now. A lot of flexibility in their roster too. It's nice to see Jimmy come in after Jinmu's dominant performance, and well, it was the same dominant performance there as well. You saw Leave on the Widowmaker just shutting down at dive after dive after dive. That Winston just didn't really have anywhere to move. He wants to, of course, pressure it, but then Nisha is right at his back. He's in like 17 places at once. It's kind of ridiculous. He's permanently healing the Widowmaker, but then also healing the Echo in the sky, then healing the tanks, then healing the other support. This guy is just a sentient being, just a sentient radiating orb of healing that is not getting touched whatsoever. Leave has just been fantastic on the Widow, and yeah, I had higher expectations for the NYXL. Maybe they need that couple of weeks, but the Hunters, they are here to stay in the APAC region here, Vicky.
Yeah, I mean, when I took a look at the NYXL, I had no idea what to expect, especially with that rework roster that we were able to see just now. And overall, you know, you could say that they're still testing out the waters, still trying to find what their strongest feet are. But now looking at Chengdu Hunters, it seems over here that they wasted no time, especially coming out of last weekend. They're carrying that momentum straight into the second weekend of the May Melee Qualifiers. And now they're sitting happy, feeling pretty confident after taking that series over the NYXL.
Yeah, Our player of the match, of course, on your screens right now, none other than Leave. His Sombra play was beautiful, and his play in general was pretty squeaky clean. There's nothing this man cannot do, it seems. Just these manual hacks as well have just been incredible.
Yeah.
Of course, I mentioned the one back on Nepal where he hacked Jonak, just resulting in them winning that stage here at the Shrine stage, of course, right here. His EMPs have just been spectacular, and then Widowmaker, yeah, he's pretty good at clicking haze as well. His Dorado was just his map. He sat right at the back and just clicked on heads repeatedly until the NYXL kind of gave up, you know, in OT. There's not really much this guy can't do. I think we're going to be seeing a whole lot more of MVP Leave, that is for sure. Look at that, enemies EMP'd 17 on the summer and 36 hacks as well. A hack sometimes is good enough for a kill, and more often than not right now, if Leave is hacking somebody, yeah, the Chengdu Hunters, they're killing them and making sure NYXL go all the way back to spawn.
Especially being able to rotate through that DPS lineup of Jinmu and Jimmy, now being able to also focus down the fact that they're forcing their opponents to readapt around the different change of composition that they're bringing into it. But, you know, the way that Jimmy was able to perform on Anubis, I mean, that's how you're able to see right there just the amount of pressure that he was able to tack on from that high ground, displacing a lot of the NYXL very similarly to what we had seen on, you know, just overall the way that the Hunters were playing, spreading the NYXL thin and forcing out them to reposition and also tack on a lot of that backline pressure that unfortunately they were not able to close out.
Yeah, his copies were really good too. I just want to see him montage those copies on Anubis because he was just copying into D.Va over and over again, just running down the rest of the team. And his precision on Echo too is just absolutely outstanding. Tri-shot is it's a bit of an odd ability, especially when you're using it from range, of course, because it does eventually kind of spread out. And the sticky bombs as well are very... If you played Echo, you kind of understand, but they're very hard to hit, at least for me they are. And you have to kind of lead your shots on a lot of them, like you do with Zenyatta Orbs. This guy is just an absolute menace in the sky, and his hero pool is just perfect for the kind of comps and chaos comps what the Chengdu Hunters want to run. NYXL, unfortunately, going down 3-0. I hope they can end up bouncing back. I had high hopes for Flora, like I said, at the very, very start of the series, and I'm sure they will under Jonak's guidance, but it's all the Chengdu zone, man. There's nothing getting out of this state right now.
Yeah, now looking over to our next series coming up very soon. Philadelphia Fusion versus the Hangzhou Spark. Don't go anywhere because that's going to be coming on at the other side of this short break. Don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.